We are Gold Ivy, a health company dedicated to simplifying health and wellness. The industry is lacking the honest experience and grit required to overcome the struggle, and we're here to fill that gap.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold. Join us on the fearless pursuit of self-discovery and growth.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
A Gold Ivy production.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
You are listening to Ivy Unleashed, episode number 6.
Number 6.
We are talking about another hot topic in personal development today.
Yes.
Something that everyone is craving.
Definitely.
Purpose.
Mm-hmm.
What is my purpose?
Oh, that's a big question.
A huge question.
Yeah, for sure. And today's episode is all about living an intentional life. And I have some questions that I want you to ask yourself, because when you're getting into purpose and it feels overwhelming and it feels like a big responsibility to figure this thing out, you know, everybody wants to figure this out. Question you need to ask yourself is, what makes you feel alive?
Ooh,
Yes.
it's a big question.
What thrills you? What topics do you get lost talking about? You know, there's something about that. There's something about being lost in a conversation where you're so passionate about it that you lose track of time, and you feel like this is what I'm meant to talk about, and who's ever talking with you is looking at you like, wow, you really know, you're really passionate about this.
You're really into this.
Can you breathe?
Like you and exercise.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm trying. Give me a break.
I'll give you 42 ideas, Brooke. Do you want to do strength training? Do you want to do yoga? What do you want to do?
Yes.
For sure. And I think it's really important that we kind of address a few different things within that. And one of them is that sometimes other people's opinions and expectations get in the way of that. You need to be able to listen to what that is. And if you don't know the answers to these questions about what makes you feel alive, this episode is for you.
Yes. It's like we said, a big question. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are searching for it. And are they born with it? Do they find it? How do you find your purpose? There's thousands of books. Mm-hmm. We've read them about finding purpose. Everyone has a different idea, philosophy on it. Mm-hmm. And today we really want to walk you through what that means for us. We built this company with the goal of helping you listen to your truth. Mm-hmm. Right now, today's world, the noise is so loud. The comparison game is huge. Social media, you're comparing yourself to everything you see, and you can't help it. Social media is made that way.
I think about your age too, even more than mine, because I feel like when you're in your 20s, you feel like I should have this figured out. I should be like, how are you supposed to know until you know, or until you've tried things?
Yeah, I'm gonna say something. Should is the enemy.
Oh,
there's one word you should nix from your vocab. It's should.
Yes.
What does that mean? You should. Who says you should be? It's yourself.
Right.
You are putting this on yourself.
You're the one living
pressure.
your life. You're the one that has to live throughout the day. You should be thinking about your passions. You know, screw what everybody else thinks. You know, and if you lose a relationship from someone that can't support that, then you're going to be unhappy the rest of your life if you don't get rid of it.
Right.
Or if you create some boundaries within that relationship or something. But it's so important that you're waking up on fire about what you're going to be doing. Mm-hmm. And that's how I started off this year. You know, 2020 threw a major curveball at all of us.
Really? What happened?
I mean, it's still throwing curveballs. What is happening?
9 months later, we are still quarantined, but it's been a blessing.
Yes. Yeah, it really has been, because I decided in 2020 what I really wanted to do, and I've talked about this before, is waking up early. And that has created this silence that I didn't know I needed. Mm-hmm. I was doing it because I didn't feel like I had time for myself. Yeah. I didn't really know what it was going to turn into. But I also paired it with a goal of reading a book a week, which is a really hard goal.
Yeah.
You know,
especially a mom of 3.
Yeah.
A wife. Mm-hmm. Working full time, multiple passions, creating a company.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
How did you do it?
Well, I read on the treadmill. a lot of mornings. I'm not really training for a marathon right now, so I don't have to be running all the time. I'm focusing more on just like walking and strength training. And
Yep, you heard that right. She reads and walks at the same time.
I don't walk super fast. I have long legs, so I don't know, put this in perspective, but it's about 4 miles per hour. And I read for at least 30 minutes on my treadmill before I do anything. I walk right to the treadmill. I look at my Bible app. Once I get through that, through the verse and the devotional, I grab my book and I just read as many pages as I can until I've been on the treadmill for 30 minutes.
And it doesn't make you dizzy?
No.
Interesting.
I know. Like Carsick? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you get Carsick?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But it's
I
usually,
didn't know if there was a correlation.
it's usually paired with a hangover if I get Carsick. Usually I'm fine.
I'm usually dying in that case. No, I can do biking and reading, or
What?
going on the
Like
not like
audiobooks?
no, like a stationary bike. Yeah, good luck. Oh my gosh, rip. No, a stationary bike or doing the Stairmaster.
Okay.
But I don't know
Why
about
was
walking.
I picturing a country road?
I don't know, but I'm
Down Minneapolis.
going across the Stone Arch.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, the book. So, I'm a health coach. So of course I'm drawn to self-development, self-improvement. I like autobiographies because I feel like I really like hearing people's story and how they got to where they are. And I would say I think I've read 45 books now. I'm not quite up to where I should be because the year's almost over. I should probably be at like 49, but I'm pretty proud that I'm at this place. But yeah, so I've read a lot of them, and a lot of the books really got me thinking about, what is my passion? What do I want my legacy to be?
Yeah.
What do I want to leave behind? What do I want to leave as a message for my kids or my kids' kids? Do I want it just to be, because it doesn't have to be a podcast. It doesn't have to be a book that you left behind. It could just be, the love that you pour into your children, or the love that you pour into your friendships, that when you're gone, they still feel that.
Yeah.
And that's fine too. I mean, everyone's going to figure out what it is. But for me, I have always felt like I want to leave like a journal behind or a book behind, or I'm constantly taking videos and I want to make video montages for my kids. And I've lost a lot of people in my life, friends at young ages, lots of family members, friends of friends. And to me, life is just so short. I always feel like it could be my last moment. I always feel that every day. And it's kind of a blessing sometimes because it makes me think about, do my kids know how much I love them? Do they know how I felt about issues? And I don't need them to feel the same way, but I want them to know who I was.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is something that I've always been passionate about too, is trying to help people feel good and follow what's best for them in their daily life. Mm-hmm. And that's why I health coach. But now with Gold Ivy, it's like I can feel that my business is serving my purpose, along with me recording it, along with, connecting with people, which is what I love doing. I'm super excited about this. And I feel like for the first time, not only am I following my passions and my purpose, but I'm in charge of it with you.
Hell yeah.
It feels so good.
It feels so right.
It's new. 2020 is new. It is passion and purpose together. It's me not settling for somebody else be in charge of my hours and my income. It's me taking it into my own hands, saying, this is how I want to do this, because I can do this on fire the way that I want to. And it feels like I'm fully aligned for the first time in my life.
You guys remember when Andrea started this conversation with saying when you get lost in something, that is proof that this is her purpose.
Yes.
But no, something you said that I want to touch on is life is so short. And I feel like you're reading all these books, all these autobiographies of other people's stories, and it kind of ignited a fire within you saying, I want my own story. Like, why am I reading all these people's stories when I could be working and creating my own story, my own legacy? And like you said, it's different for everyone, whether that's loving on your kids more, writing a book, starting a podcast, whatever lights your soul on fire, you have to find it, because life is so short. And you found it by listening to your truth, taking that quiet time, Who knew 5 a.m.
I didn't even know
could
this
be
was going to happen.
life-changing?
I had no idea this was going to happen.
But you know what? You told yourself that I'm not a night person. I can be a morning person just because I thought I was a night person.
Right.
And you took matters into your own hands, and that's awesome. It's something to be so proud of.
Oh,
I'm proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, it's really benefiting me. So, so Jay Shetty, he is incredible. He's been really instrumental in our lives lately. And he has a book, Think Like a Monk. He was a monk. Book. He's a British monk and lived in India for 3 years. And he basically translated his whole experience and how to think like a monk in our world today, which is so important because, like we said, the comparison game, the noise, it's important to quiet down and listen to our truth. And in his book, he talks about this concept called Dharma, and it's combining your passion and your purpose. And when you combine your passion and you transform it into a way of serving others, that's when you find your purpose. So he did an interview with Forbes magazine, and he explains it beautifully. He says, Dharma in loose terms in English would be considered purpose calling. I know that there's a big quest for purpose right now, but Dharma takes a different approach. Dharma talks about what are you naturally wired as anyone. So rather than like, you need to learn this or you need to become really good at this, it's like you've got a natural set of skills and a natural energy, aura, ability, and that when you go all in on that, when you understand that, you will use that in a number of disciplines, in a number of industries. It's not bound in any way. And Dharma is found between the intersection between Varna and Siva. So a lot of Sanskrit words, and I'll explain them. Varna is your passion and your expertise, and Siva is really deeply being compassionate and caring and understanding the genuine need of a group of people. So when you transform your passion into helping people and serving, that's when you find your purpose. And he says it so beautifully because it's not this end goal. It's something, this natural ability. For you, you have this natural ability of connecting with people and making people feel heard and important and like they matter. And whether it's in your work or your relationships, your personal relationships, your friends, they all feel that. And you found a way to transform that into your purpose by helping other people and serving, which I think is a really interesting way to look at purpose that we don't always look at. We think that we're born there. We're born with it. We just have to discover it.
Why haven't I figured this out? Yeah. And I know we talk a lot about quieting the noise and listening to yourself, but something that I did this year, which is, you know, I've always kind of liked journaling, but it's just one of those things that can be so easily put on the back burner.
Yes.
It's so easy to be like, oh, that's time consuming and it requires effort. But
I'm so tired. I crawl in bed. That's the last thing I want to do.
But there is something about writing things down. There's something really powerful because as you're writing, you have more thoughts that are coming into your mind that you didn't know were even going to happen. Like something gets ignited in your brain. And one time through this group with church, we did this where we had to write out prayers, and the goal was just to keep writing. And it was insane, the dialogue that was happening between me and God in my head when I'd only written like 5 words. It's so crazy. But so this year when I was trying to take that time, I forced myself to buy books that also had some like prompting, because then it was like read, journal, which Jen Sincero. Sincero. She has some books like that have
it makes you do the work.
Yes. And she's hilarious and easy to read and is basically saying the same thing. Like, listen to how you feel about these things, write them down. And so when I did that, I started paying attention to, you know, what brings me joy. I started pausing to find out what was serving me, what was not serving me, the choices I was making, and why I was making them. Like, why am I choosing to partake in conversations that only make me more anxious, or conversations that are super negative, or putting myself in an environment when I know I'm super tired? Why am I staying up late and having a couple extra glasses of wine when I'm so tired? Like, schedule it for another night where you're not exhausted. Things like that, where the more I kind of listen to why I'm making these decisions and how the answer can only be no, or another time, or let's do this a different way. And I just started doing more that served my life so that I had more energy and I felt like I was more alive. I wrote down things I didn't even know were dreams of mine. I was thinking about where I wanted to wake up in the morning and what I wanted that to look like, what I wanted the scenery to be. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it really just propelled me into the direction that I'm going right now. And I feel on fire.
Yeah.
It's great.
Sounds like you stopped caring about what other people think.
Yes.
Because you staying up late with another glass of wine, agreeing to things when you know you don't have that energy to, you did it because you want other people to think that you're the fun, Andrea. You care. You don't want to let anyone down.
Yeah, and then also,
when really you're letting yourself down.
Yeah, and what I found out, because don't get me wrong, I still have my glasses of wine and hang out with the girlfriends, but something that I learned is that when I put up a boundary and I said, I'm exhausted, not tonight, I learned that was totally okay.
Yeah.
And that all of these ladies that I do hang out with, love you, Tea Trail moms, they totally respected that. And they were like, totally, yep, we're tired too. And they take nights off too. And I felt like, why haven't I figured out a way to do this that I can give someone fully myself when I'm with them instead of being tired and thinking about how I should probably be going home.
Right. And then you're always worried about being exhausted. And then the next morning, and it just totally spins out of control into the next day.
Yeah, and I have a quote too that's something that really spoke to me during the time that I was journaling and just talking to everyone that's listening about other people's opinions. And you might not even realize that you have these expectations or opinions that kind of play into your mind. But this quote is from Shauna Niequist in the book Present Over Perfect, which is a great book.
So good.
She says, "The world will tell you how to live if you let it. Don't let it. Take up your space, raise your voice, sing your song. This is your chance to make or remake a life that thrills you."
There's something therapeutic about actually getting it out, writing it out, and that you can help discover your truth. Rachel Hollis, she says, and something that she advises is when you're journaling, give yourself 30 minutes because for the first 5 minutes, it'll just be rapid fire. But then you stop and you're like, I don't have anything else to say. And you wait about 10 minutes and the floodgates just open and you just start. When you give yourself that time and you don't, say, oh, I'm done and carry on. And you actually just sit with your journal, with your pen and just be in the moment. I think that's really good practice too on how to be present. Like your quote was just from the book Present Over Perfect. We talk now about in the industry about being present and what that looks like and meditation and breath work and all these things. When we're constantly living go, 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 no one really knows how to be present anymore. You're always worrying about what other people are thinking, what your next move is. And so, I kind of want to take some time and just really talk about what being present means and what that looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, when you think of being present, what does that mean to you? What ways have you really discovered how to live intentionally and how to practice being present?
Oh, that's a good question because it's hard. There's so many distractions, and especially with my kids home a lot with COVID stuff, it's really hard. So a few things that Joss and I have done is we have no phone zones.
Yep.
That helps a lot. So dinner table is a no phone zone. Bedtime is a no phone zone, unless if we're using like an app for meditation for the kids or something at bedtime, we try and keep our phones out of the room. And just those two things alone really help a lot. Yeah. And then I have a thing that, oh my gosh, it bothers me so bad. If I am talking to Justin about something and he is looking at his phone, I will pause. An awkward pause and give him the eyes of like,
excuse you.
I am not speaking anymore until you look at me and put that phone down. So a lot of it just is around the phone. But I want there to be those times. And I even tell my kids, call us out on it.
Yeah.
Say this is a no phone zone. It's really catchy for the kids to say. And then something that engages us even more at the dinner table is there's this book that I love, and I have one for family and I have one for couples. I'll also share this book on the Ivy League newsletter, our blog. And the book is called 365 Connecting Questions for Families. And it's this married couple that created this book that every day of the year, there's a question that engages the family. So, for example, on February 14th, Blair's birthday, the question is, would you rather learn every musical instrument or every language, and why? And you learn things about your family that you never even knew.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
It's such a good way to connect with your family. And then there's one for couples too, which we just keep on a nightstand. So every night before we go to bed, well, not every night, sometimes we don't, but we try to. It's a great way to connect. Aww. And you just learn things. Like Justin said something the other night that I was like, I had no idea that you felt that way about whatever it was. It's amazing. So
when you actually take the time to put your phone away, put the screen down, and actually learn about each other and learn what's important and what makes the people around you feel alive and thrive. Yeah.
I'm curious about you though in your age group, because I feel like 20-year-olds, you guys are way more in tune with social media too. What's that like when you're together with your friends?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Definitely putting the phones down. I think my friends do a really good job at it when we're out to eat. I mean, we haven't gone out to eat in what feels like a year. But it's so different because, like, in my family, it's like I can tell my husband we're trying to do this thing, and right.
But like with friends, how do you tell a friend what to do?
You don't.
Yeah,
it's more you kind of set the tone and putting it down yourself, holding yourself to that standard, because ultimately you can only control yourself.
Yeah.
And the people who give you the time of day and actually genuinely care, and they show that they care by asking you questions and check in, and you talk about the deep stuff, which are the relationships that I thrive off of and the type of relationships that I want. I think life is too short to not have those type of relationships.
When you can leave a conversation or a night with a certain friend and be like, what did we actually get out of that? Do we even talk about anything that's of substance, or is this mostly, was
negativity, talking about people?
Yes. Yeah. Or is it, talking about your passions, talking about ideas, of where you want life to go or what you want to do. And it doesn't always have to go there. There's levels of relationships.
Right. But you notice how different you feel after having those conversations. There's the friends you have that you talk about the present and the future and the goals that you have that lights you on fire and you leave feeling lighter. And then there's the relationships you have where all you talk about are other people, past memories, and it's surface level, and you leave just feeling heavier and tired and exhausted. And I think it's important to tune in and notice which type of relationships leave you feeling each way.
Yeah. And just thinking of that too, it makes me think about the relationships that I have. And I think about friendships that I've had the longest, like my friend Britt, like the reason why we stay connected, I believe, is because when we chat, we don't just talk about people or things. We talk about ideas.
Yep.
But then also she always challenges me to think a different way.
Yeah.
She asks me questions that are hard. She's super smart.
It just gave me chills thinking about her.
She asked me questions that are really hard. And not only that, she thinks about like not only just making your circle better or yourself better, she thinks about society. She thinks about like, how am I going to take this idea that could serve me, that could serve my family,
and serve other people,
but they could serve other people and go like exponentially out. And I think that's why we've been friends for so long, because I don't even know what I would do without a relationship like that.
Yeah.
I've never had that, with anyone that has lasted this. I mean, we've been friends for over 20 years now.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's important. And it shows that there's value in that and that you crave it.
Yeah.
I miss her. I like need my conversations with her because they're so moving and they make me feel empowered.
Yeah. She lights you on fire, and it's important to hone in on the things, the experiences, like you had said earlier, think of when you're talking about things and you get lost in them, that is your purpose. You're feeling that for a reason, but also the activities you're doing, the spaces you're in when you feel that way too. Is it when you're exercising, when you're around certain people. You know, I think it's important to look at your purpose in multiple different lenses. And one of those is also, it's not something that you are born with or that you arrive on. I think purpose looks different for everyone. And the common denominator is that it sets your soul on fire.
Yes.
And what sets my soul on fire is different than what sets your soul on fire.
What sets your soul on fire, Brooke?
Oh, that's a good question.
Do you feel like you're still figuring that out, or do you feel like it's clear?
I think I'm getting there. I think for the first time, I'm learning that I pave my own way. You know, I always thought that God had my purpose and he was just waiting for me to find it. And then I think about my experience and my health struggles, and I'm like, why the hell is he putting me through this? Like, this is really my purpose.
Right.
He's challenging me. And I've learned that there is a message in the mess, that I can choose how to look at my experience. And maybe my purpose isn't living with these health issues and trying to figure them out, but it's maybe making me stronger so that I have the experience to help others who are going through what I'm going through, and that I can help move others based on what I've learned from my own experience.
Totally.
I don't think that we just arrive at our purpose. I think it takes a lot of soul searching, and some people are like, nope, I knew that this is my purpose. And some people are like, yeah, I'm still figuring it out. And whatever it is, it's okay. Like, who says your purpose has to be one thing?
You know, that reminds me of Elizabeth Gilbert, who's this incredible human being and writer. She says, like, right now she's at a place in her life where she's like, screw purpose because it's so overwhelming. And
it is.
Yes. And she said, she's like, what if my purpose is this one day that, you know, that happened to me a couple years ago? She's like, I was walking down the street. I'm walking past this ladder, and this guy is up on this rooftop, and I can tell the ladder is about to fall, or it was shaky or something. So she goes, he never even knew it, but I stood there for like the 30 seconds he was putting his feet on and climbing down, and I moved before he even noticed, and I held the ladder, which would probably have fell, and I probably would have shattered things or died. And she goes, what if that moment in time was my purpose? That's what I live for. That's the only moment I was here on the planet for.
But it's true. Like, at what point do you arrive at a time in your life and you're like, yep, I knew that's my purpose? Like, it may never happen and you're just waiting for this.
But I think that's the value of living intentionally.
Yes.
If you're taking the time to think about what you want to say, you're not just talking people's ears off, which is clearly something that I struggle with sometimes.
Yes. No, I'm just kidding.
Is taking a step back and really listening to yourself, listening to other people, because sometimes you miss things when you're talking too much. You miss a little nugget that someone said something that could spark a thought in you, or something that you don't like. You know, maybe you hear something, you're like, nope, that is not for me, or that's not the person for me, or this is not the relationship that I should be spending my time on.
Yeah. I think purpose is overwhelming as hell, especially for people my age who post-grad, they just spent so many years getting a degree in something, and then they get their first job out of college and they're like, this is not for me. Shit. Yeah. I just put all this money, all this time. How are you supposed to know what you want to do at 18 years old? You haven't lived. Right? And I envy the people who are like, nope, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer.
My husband, he knew when he was like tiny that he wanted to create a medical device that could save someone's life somehow.
Yes, and we get so caught up in the comparison game of I should have it all together because they have it all together. No, they don't. That is their highlight reel. They aren't posting their struggles, which is why we're doing this, to make to show you that shit's hard.
Yes.
And I think it's so important to take a step back and to say that if you don't know why you were put on this earth, it's okay, because you're still living, you're still walking, you're creating your life, your journey.
Yeah, and just to help with anybody, it doesn't matter your age. I mean, they could be in their 20s like you, they could be younger, they could be older, but there's an activity that I did a couple years ago that was really beneficial for me, and I think it could be beneficial for other people. And I'll try and do this in a way that's effective to explain it.
Yeah.
Because it's something you should really do in real time with a piece of paper and a pen. It's called the Noble Qualities activity, where what you do, and play along as we go here. I mean, you can think this in your head, but what you think about is either one person that you love, or like you love them so hard, like you would just, like they're your favorite person.
Like me.
Yes. Or your kids, or your best friend, or your parents, or whatever. But then you think a little bit more of like, okay, a big group of people that I love. Like, who are my main people? I just love them so much. And you think about their well-being, and you think about, what do I wish for these people? If I could wish anything for those people, what would I wish for? And you'll come up with a lot of different things that come to mind. You know, you'll come up with, you know, I wish them happiness. I wish them acceptance. I wish them faith. I wish them adventure. I wish them laughter. I wish them youth. And you're just supposed to write 50 things down that come to mind. You're supposed to take a couple minutes. So take a couple minutes, write down what you would wish for the people you love the most. And then from that list, you're going to take your top 10. Pull your top 10 out. What are the top 10 things you really wish for them? You know, if you had to pick 10, and sometimes, you know, joy and laughter, you could just put laughter with joy. So maybe you take joy or whatever. And so then you're narrowing down this list, and then you get this list to 3 or 5, whatever you want. And you really think about, what would I really want for them? You know, what do I wish for them? And then what you learn is those 3 qualities are exactly what you need to have in your life and serve and make time for. So for me, mine were faith, adventure, and connection. There were a lot of different words that I put in there, like spirituality and things like that. And that I just put that in with faith, you know, and with adventure, it was like, you know, all kinds of different words. But I got them into 3 buckets of faith, adventure, and connection.
Which is so you.
Yes. Yeah. And it was like, I wish that for people. I wish people to have a strong faith. I wish for people to have a bunch of adventures in their life and have a fulfilling, thrilling life. And I wish for everybody to feel connected and accepted, and all of those things that I put into the connection box, right?
Yeah.
And so then I learned, that's me. Those are the things I need in my life. And then you take those 3 things, those 3 qualities, and you break down, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for me in my week? What does that mean for me in my month, my year? Break it down. Break it down to the hours in your week. So for me, let's say for faith, if I feel like bare minimum for my faith in my week, I need daily to read the Bible. I need daily to pray and pray with my kids. And I need to go to church at least once a week, or watch it from home. If I do those things, that's bare minimum. I feel connected to my faith. So then you take those things, you figure out exactly where they're going to go in your week. And then you honor those things as much as you can, so that you can stay connected to who you are, what sets you on fire. And then do the same with connection, adventure, whatever your 3 things are. And you find time for those, because that is who you are. That is who you are meant to put into the world. That's what everybody else on the planet deserves to get, is you, that core. Like, what are those things? And if you connected those 3 things, then you figure out how it goes in your week. And then you figure out how to build a business out of it, or whatever that looks like. Maybe it's not a business. Maybe it's truly just talking with people about those things, or sharing how you feel about certain things. And when you do that, everybody gets the best version of you. You get the best version of you. And it gives you a whole new perspective on life.
Just backs up the importance of filling up your cup first.
Yes.
So that you can overflow to give to others. You can be your best so that others get your best, and they get value out of being with you.
Yes. And I feel like it's kind of like this waterfall.
Yeah.
Right? So you fill up your tank.
It's like the glass vase.
Yes. And it's overflowing to other people. But then when you give your best to other people, then they get inspired, and then they give their best to people. Up. And it just keeps going from person to person. And so sometimes I think it's hard for people to feel selfish if they focus on themselves and their needs and their wants. But maybe if you think about it the other way, maybe you think about, I want to give other people my best because you love your kids so much, or you love your friends, or you love whoever so much. Do it for them then.
Right.
Start that way.
Well, and the opposite of selfish, selfless. Okay. You're not gonna have self. You're not gonna be you. Mm-hmm. Well, what is that? That doesn't benefit anyone. Mm-hmm. You're not living your truth.
Yeah, and purpose comes back to, who are you? Who are you? And if you don't know, that's fine. Life it's hard to navigate, and you're always changing and evolving. And so I think thinking that you have this one purpose is just way too much to think about. I think I'm living in my purpose on a daily basis, and sometimes that shifts. Sometimes the noble quality might change.
It's your habits. Mm-hmm. Breaking it down to who you are and living out who you are by building these habits that are going to allow you to be who you were meant to be, or maybe not meant to be, but what sets you on fire, makes you feel like you. And that can change depending on the season of life you're in.
Totally.
It's ever evolving. We're constantly changing. We have to keep rolling with the punches, especially with this pandemic and everything going on.
Yeah, and thinking of getting started with these small habits, I think that noble qualities thing is a great thing, as it breaks it down to little things. So if you're having a day and you feel off, you do not feel like yourself.
Like me today. I felt so off. And what did I do? Meditated. One thing that I was like, okay, I need to meditate. I need to listen to music. I put on my boyfriend, Justin Bieber, and I just felt like me. And that's funny that we're talking about purpose, because he has an album called Purpose. And it's just meant to be.
Did you just bring that full circle?
I did.
Did you mean to do that?
No, not at all. He's just within me.
Oh, the Biebs.
Anyways, it's these things that set you on fire that you learn over time. Mm-hmm. And it's important when you feel off to go back to that and to know. And you're not going to know it until you take the time to listen and to figure it out.
And if you write it down, then the days that you feel off, you've already done something for yourself that you can go back to.
And just look.
You've got that sheet of paper with your noble qualities on it. You know that one of your things is spirituality, let's say, and in that is meditation 5 minutes a day. And you're like, you know what? Of the 15 things I put that I need to put into my week, that's one thing I feel like I can do right now. Thank you, self, for taking the time 65 weeks ago to write that down, that I can reference my crumpled up piece of paper that's in my nightstand.
Yeah.
Thank you, self.
All these little things that you can do. Mm-hmm. Also, it's important to note that there's so many different things you can do when it comes to figuring out what your purpose is. And it can be overwhelming, but you can start small. Another thing that I've read countless times is asking the people around you, what are my strengths? Mm-hmm. What do you think? Because they see a different version of you that you don't see.
And sometimes when they say something, you're like, no, that's actually not how I feel.
Yeah.
And then other times you're like, yeah, I do love that. Yeah. I didn't even realize how much I loved that.
Yeah. It's if you aren't at that point in your life where you can really slow down and become introspective, it's a great place to start, is asking other people and just starting that conversation. And I think the people you have relationships with who challenge you and ask you the big questions, they're already doing this.
Yep.
And you need to surround yourself with people who are like that and who are going to challenge you and inspire you and empower you to be better and to do better, because it's important.
Yes.
And it's going to make you become you. Mm-hmm. And that is your purpose, to fully live you.
Yes. And if you listen to that passion and what makes you feel good, it's so simple. If you listen to what makes you feel good and fulfilled, then you'll attract what and who aligns with your purpose.
Right. Where energy goes, energy flows. Right?
Yes.
So what you spend your time doing, if it doesn't excite you, you're not going to have energy about it. Mm-hmm. You're not going to feel motivated. You're not going to feel like you. You're going to feel depressed and out of line with your purpose. So listen to how you feel. Reflect. It can be as easy as asking yourself and writing it down. How did I feel today? Mm-hmm. Writing down everything you did, breaking it out, and just putting how you felt after it. Okay, work. I didn't feel good. I worked on this creative project. I felt motivated. Little things like that. There's so many things you can do to just start. And the important thing isn't what you're doing. It's that you are doing something. Action. Just take action.
Yes.
It comes down to, if you want to have a rewarding life, you need to listen to your truth. Only you know what's going to bring a life that's true and authentic for you. You know, this year has brought a lot of light to our vision and purpose, and it's because we took the time to reflect and to turn inward. Throughout life, I've always been go, 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 and now I'm learning that there has to be a balance between doing and being. And taking that time to turn inward is how we are going to practice the being and be present.
And who doesn't want to feel alive? Who doesn't
Exactly.
want to feel like their best self? Who doesn't want to have a thrilling, exciting life that is so fulfilling for them? We wish that for you. And we're here to guide you along the way. You know, follow along with us and let us know what you're learning about yourself. We love hearing what inspired you. What book did you read that made you decide that you wanted to change your career, or you wanted to switch where you live, or you wanted to live out of an RV, you know, or whatever it is that inspired you to listen to that truth and change direction, or maybe stay in the same direction, but light it on fire with something new. You know, I really want to hear what people have to say and how they determined, or if it's still changing for people, or what you're learning, or roadblocks. I think it's really valuable to hear other people's stories, because sometimes within that story, something speaks to you and it's really powerful.
Yeah. And I want to know what purpose means to you. I think it's evident that purpose means something different to everyone, and that's absolutely okay. My definition of purpose is different than your definition, and so on. And it's okay, because it's true to me, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely. All right, now it's time for the 3 gold stars.
Number 1, carve out 10 minutes to center yourself through meditation or journaling.
2, list 3 people that uplift and support you, regardless of season of life.
3, determine 3 values that are most important to you and audit your calendar to see how much time you are truly giving them.
Yes, now it's time for Unleashing Ivy. All right, Brooke, what's one thing you do to recenter yourself when you feel out of line with your purpose?
I would say move my body. When I move my body, it gets the brain flowing, the energy flowing. I get thoughts that I didn't know I was having.
Yes.
Makes me feel alive. And anything in movement stays in movement. And it's important to just act. And that action of taking a step and doing something is rewarding in itself.
We've thrown in a lot of quotes in this, but I got to say that Albert Einstein said, nothing happens until something moves.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I say too when I'm stuck in bed and can't get up or find the motivation. It's just let my feet hit the floor.
Yes.
And I know you say it too. And if there's anything that you guys can take away, it's one small step of just let your feet hit the floor.
Yep, for sure.
All right. When you're really struggling with purpose, what's one thing that steers you in a positive direction?
It's got to start with prayer. I would say prayer. In the shower, powerful. Or when I'm driving in the car, either one of those, because you're typically alone. I mean, I don't think I pray out loud with my kids in the car. Maybe I just think a prayer in there, but I would say prayer.
Well, and this shows you that you can turn inward anywhere.
Or upward.
Oh.
All right. Last one. Brooke, what's one thing you wish you would have known sooner about living more intentionally?
That you have to slow down.
Yes.
That what everyone else's lives look like, my life is not going to look like that. And that is okay. It is okay to go at my own pace because it's true to me.
As always, we'd like to leave you with a piece of gold.
This week's piece of gold is from Elizabeth Gilbert. She says, do whatever brings you to life, then. Follow your own fascinations, obsessions, and compulsions. Trust them. Create whatever causes a revolution in your heart. The rest will take care of itself.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.